In this video, I'm going to tell you about our experience with our Tesla Model 3 Performance after 12 months of ownership. What does it cost us during those 12 months? What's gone wrong? Range efficiency? And are we happy with the car? So stay tuned. Hi, John here. I asked a question in my YouTube community tab about what things you wanted to know during our 12 months of ownership with our Tesla Model 3. Some of the things were service centre experiences, any issues we've had with the car, build quality, real range, especially in the winter, cost to run, what I liked and disliked, and would I buy it again knowing what I know now? It does actually seem only like yesterday that Gillian and I were in West Drayton, Uxbridge, picking up our Tesla Model 3 Performance from Tesla. We opted for the whole 9 yards performance model with full self-driving package. The pickup was on the 28th of September 2019 and it was a very long day. Lots of sitting around waiting for our car. There were so many people there picking up their cars on the same day. It's like 100 plus cars were going out on that day. It's crazy. And as ever in these times, it was financial quarter end for Tesla and they wanted to ship as many cars as possible. So it was bedlam basically. Yeah, and it was a very long day, but it was also enjoyable and a memorable one because we got chatting to people and seeing other people's cars go out. But it did seem that we were like right at the end of the list. On that pickup day, one of the Tesla reps said, if you turn right out of the service centre, there's a nice bit of straight road. So make sure your head is against the headrest and if it's safe, floor it. And I can vividly remember turning right out of the service centre. It was safe. There was no traffic about because it was 7 p.m. and it was dark and it was wet. I did floor it and I didn't put my head against the headrest and instantly I ended up with like motion sickness. My head was spinning. And it took me about 10 minutes to regain my full composure. And at that point, I did wonder, oh my God, have I bought the wrong car? Have I made the wrong decision? What happens if every time I accelerate, it feels like that? Thankfully, it was just a one-off. And certainly for me, placing a head against the headrest before accelerating is the key to a good experience, especially if, like me, you suffer from motion sickness. So yeah, that was my one recollection from pickup day. Those that have followed our journey will know that there were a couple of issues that were identified with the car when we picked it up. There was a deep gouge in the interior plastic panel by the B panel on the driver's side near the seatbelt and a more noticeable crease or sort of dent in the bonnet. Service centre experience, well, I guess that leads me neatly into that because that's how both those things were dealt with. They weren't dealt with at the day. We've had 2 mobile service technician visits and 2 service centre visits during those 12 months. Deal with the mobile ones first. One visit was to replace the interior plastic trim that had that gouge in it on pickup day, and that was a simple, quick job. Took about 15 minutes to complete, all fine. The other visit was to replace the rear light cluster that had fogged up on rainy days. It's a fairly common occurrence on the car for some reason, and the units were replaced under warranty with no quibbles or costs from Tesla. The local service centre is in Milton Keynes, and that's about 25 miles away, so it's quite local, and I've been there on 2 separate occasions, as I mentioned. The first was soon after we picked up the car to drop it off to have the small dent in the bonnet fixed. They were very efficient and attentive and again kept me informed of progress via the Tesla app and SMS text. I had a loaner car during that time, a Model S 100D for the week, while they repaired my bonnet because it required respraying. When I returned the loaner and collected my car, it was very quick, very efficient, and the repair was perfect, spot on. I couldn't fault it, and no further issues have come up since then. My second service centre visit was a result of not being able to charge this using the CCS connector in the car. A full video of that is up here. The fault developed on the 17th of September 2020, actually just before the car was 12 months old. I think the fault appeared, so I had something else to talk about during this video. For the charging issue, I raised the fault in the Tesla app on the Friday, and it was actually booked in for the following Monday for the repair. So, it's a very quick and efficient service in terms of booking it in. The booking in is great. So all you do is you go onto the app, explain what the issue is as a pick list, you add photos if relevant, and then choose a date and time. It's very simple, very speedy, and they just keep you informed via the app and via SMS text. So positive all round there. Any other issues? The only other thing I noticed on the car was the rear carbon spoiler, and it was starting to lift away from the body at the very ends of the spoiler. The spoiler really tapers off towards the tips, which means there's not actually too much material for it to grip to. I've recorded a separate video on that, again, link up here if you're interested in seeing that. So I won't go into the detail here, but suffice to say, I fixed it myself, and dropping it into the service centre, I could have done, but I decided to deal with it myself. I've seen on groups and forums and social media people moaning about Tesla's build quality, and I guess granted that early Model 3s and some early of the Model Ys had those issues. However, like many things, I guess you only really hear about the issues rather than all the hundreds and thousands of cars that were shipped with no issues or any problems. I did some further digging, and there does seem to be conflicting data and outcomes when you search for Tesla customer service or customer satisfaction. As you can see, it's sort of a mixed bag here. It's at the top, it's at the bottom of the list. So, I don't think that's necessarily conclusive. I think one of the key things that lots of new owners don't appreciate, and me included at the time, is the handover process Tesla adopts. In a traditional car manufacturer and dealer business model, the dealer makes sure the car is 100% perfect before you ever see it as a customer. They do a comprehensive pre-delivery inspection or PDI inspection, correcting any paint issues, panel fit, damage, etc. before you even see the car. And Tesla don't use this business model. There is no dealership or middleman on that customer journey. The car arrives on the transporters from the docks. They're allocated, registered, number plates attached, and customers contacted, and then sort of a quick buff and shine, and there you get your car. And what this often means is that there can be some smaller and even perhaps some major things wrong with the car. As Tesla don't do this in-depth PDI, you are effectively doing the PDI yourself. I guess on the positive side to this, Tesla will fix any issues or identify and notify them about. However, it does mean that Tesla appears to have more issues than other car manufacturers. I don't think they do, it's just that you see them rather than them being hidden away in the process via the dealer doing the pre-delivery inspection. I guess I would have expected Tesla to focus on ensuring that they get it right first time. The rework involved in correcting these faults is going to come off their bottom line. However, it doesn't look like they're going to adopt that philosophy anytime soon. It certainly hasn't impacted their sales, so perhaps it does work out as a better approach in the long run. Who knows, time will tell. What are your thoughts on that? Should a detailed PDI be done before you get your Tesla? Obviously, assuming that you've ordered one, so drop them down in the comments below. So that makes 2 Ranger visits and 2 service centre visits for the Tesla Model 3, against 1 service centre visit for the Kona. From my perspective, and that's all I can give you, my perspective, we've had no major issues or gripes with the Tesla. If I compare it against the Kona EV, which has only had 1 issue with the battery management software which required a recall, the Tesla has certainly been more problematic with things that needed to be replaced or fixed. So from that perspective, the Kona has been a better car and product. Overall, the build quality on my car is very good. The panel gaps are even, there's no misaligned or poorly fitting external panels, the shut lines are all good, and likewise on the interior. There's no rattles, no unexpected noises, there's no poor fitment or alignment issues with the build inside. So yeah, I'm very happy with the outside and the inside. Before I move on to talk about efficiency and range, there is a small thing to add, and something I've just noticed last week when I was actually washing the car. And there's a very small area of paint that's on the very edge of the front bumper that's peeled away. And as you can see here from this photo with my thumb there indicating it, it'll give you an idea and sense of scale of the patch. So it's certainly not a very big area of paint that's disappeared. It's right where the bumper meets the wing on the front wheel arch on the passenger side. The panel is fixed firmly, so there's no sort of play or movement when you press against either part. I thought it may have been caused by the panels rubbing against each other, but it doesn't appear to be the case. Anyway, I've ordered a paint touch-up kit from Chipex UK, and that will sort that, and I'll do a separate video when the weather is conducive to applying paint. If you own a Model 3, how have you got on? Any issues? Drop your thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's talk about efficiency and real-world range. We've not done massive miles in the car, certainly not compared to what we used to do, which was 20,000 miles per year. The car arrived just after we gave up contract work and our 100-mile daily commute. Add 5 months of lockdown with very limited mileage put on the car during that period, and mileage on the 28th of September, exactly 1 year to the day we picked it up, is 6,578 miles. So I was curious what the average annual mileage is for a private car ownership in the UK. It turns out that the average annual mileage for private ownership is 7,400 miles. This was from 2018 data. The source for this was the 2018 UK National Travel Survey, which can be found on the RAC's website. This annual total has been on a downward trend over the years from 9,000 in 2002. Now, if you recall, we have the Performance Model 3 with full self-driving, 20-inch wheels are standard. Our efficiency in driving is very good. Looking at the Stats app, which I use, shows that we are 98% better than 68% of users. This is our current average efficiency together with the distribution of average efficiency of the other users with the app. The efficiency is a ratio of actual miles driven per kilowatt hour to rated miles per kilowatt hour, and averages are taken over 100 miles. Our average watt hours per mile has been 291 over the 6,578 miles. And that works out to 3.4 miles per kilowatt hour. You can see what we've recently done using the trip meter and using the energy chart. For example, the last 30 miles we did 248 watt hours per mile, which works out at 4 miles per kilowatt hour. Our 64 kilowatt Kona is only slightly more efficient, but also considerably slower. When we use the Tesla, it's often on motorways and dual carriageways at 70 miles an hour with no opportunity for regenerative braking. If we had one of the other Tesla Model 3s, it would be as good as the Kona for sure, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. So let's talk about charging. We've charged the car 772 times. 15 times using a Tesla supercharger, 30 times using a public AC chargers, and 727 times using our home AC charger. In total, we've added 2,538 kilowatt hours into the car. The 15 Tesla superchargers were at 8 different locations, and we added 590 kilowatt hours with an average time to charge of 31 minutes. The public and home charging sessions have added 1,948 kilowatt hours. Our rated battery range was 309 miles when new, and it's now 305. That's a loss of 1.61%. And it's on par with 24 other Model 3s with the same odometer reading. We've got 9 vehicles that have a higher range and 15 vehicles that have a lower range. Our range is basically better than 63% of similar users. So, how can I tell all this data? No, I didn't record each charge and location and duration. I've got a Teslafy account, which gives me most of the information automatically. And I've also got the Stats app, which I referred to earlier. So using both of those gives me all of that data. I said earlier about wheels and what have you. Our performance model has the stock 20-inch wheels, which are actually the least efficient size that Tesla offers for the Model 3. You know, they may look great, but they do have an impact on range because of the extra weight, which adds to the young-sprung weight and increases drag. And due to their size and not having aero covers, they're not the most efficient wheel. For example, if you have the 18-inch wheels, you would see an energy efficiency improvement of 27 kilowatt hours versus 30 kilowatt hours for the 20-inch wheels. So what does that actually mean in real terms? It's 322 miles of range versus 299 miles with the 20-inch wheels. So you can see the larger wheels do have an impact. Whether you are driving around the city or on the motorway, the larger wheels will impact range. And the same is true of any car really, be it a petrol or a diesel, so it's not just EV specific. Bigger wheels are a drag, literally. Aesthetics over function. Oh yes, there's a good article that's worth checking out if you want to know more about that. I'll put the link of it down below. Like all EVs, battery performance will fall during colder spells. Preconditioning your cabin whilst plugged in before you leave to work will certainly improve range performance and longevity of your battery, and it will also help with regenerative braking, as this is greatly reduced when the battery is either cold or nearer the higher states of charge. This is the same across all battery electric vehicles. It's not Tesla specific. The winter of 2019 was actually very, very mild, which means we've not seen great impact from the cold in our range. So I did a bit of digging, and research by the Norwegian Automobile Federation conducted tests in January 2020 and found that EVs lose on average about 19% of their stated range at temperatures near 0 degrees Celsius. The colder it gets, the more range you will lose. If you get down to -7 to -12 Celsius, then you can be looking at 35% loss in range. When it gets down to freezing here in the UK, if you work out on losing a third of your stated range, then you certainly won't be caught out with not having enough range to get to where you need to be. So let's have a look at the costs for running our car. The costs for the 12 months, we're going to break them down. And I'm going to compare them against our previous petrol engine car. So let's have a minute's silence for our Toyota RAV4 hybrid. Yes, a self-charging hybrid. We had to put petrol in it, obviously, though we didn't have any of this new trickery that Toyota is spouting off with their current 2020 marketing campaign. No need to plug it in. It's self-charging. Yeah, so I'm going to compare our Tesla Model 3 against our RAV4. So our Tesla Model 3 first, insurance was £439.04 for the year. It's actually cheaper this year at £433.44. But I've actually not factored this into my figures. I'm really just showing it for completeness. Road tax, nil. Servicing costs, nil. Any other incidental costs, nil. So the total cost to charge, Tesla superchargers cost £0. If we had paid at 24 pence a go a unit, it would have been £141.60. But as you'll see, we had referral miles, so we got supercharging for free. Our public charging costs were zero, because wherever we charged, they were free vend. So home charging costs then. So 1,781 kilowatt hours in total. 75% of that came from solar. So we only need to account for 25% of it, because obviously the 75% would have been free. So 25% of that total is 445 kilowatt hours. And at 5 pence per kilowatt hour, it works out at £22.25. So the cost to do those 6,578 miles was £22.25. If we didn't have any supercharging referral miles, we'd add another £141.60 onto that, which would bring us to £163.85. Let's compare that to our RAV4 hybrid, covering the same mileage. Insurance, just for interest, was £360, so slightly less. Road tax was nil. Servicing costs, we had one service, which was £340 for a full service. Petrol costs for that same mileage, that's 6,578 miles. I've worked it out at 45 miles per gallon, which was our average over the life of the car, and an average price of £1.14 per litre. That calculates out to £757.58. Adding the service costs and the petrol costs works out at £340 plus £757.58, brings a grand total of £1,097.58 to run the RAV4 for 12 months. £1,097.58 versus £22.25. I think that says it all. So if you own a BEV, a battery electric vehicle, how have your costs worked out for you? Drop your costs down below in the comments if you've got them for 12 months, and share the data and the experience. So likes and dislikes, let's move on to that. Let's do the likes first. I love the fact that the car gets over-the-air software updates. It's now a better car than it was when we picked it up 12 months ago. All of the software updates are free, and we've had 21 of them during the past 12 months. Some of them were minor updates, sort of bug fixes, etc. Others were brand new features that the car didn't have when we purchased it. It's not often you can say that about a product that you've bought. Some of the more memorable updates were a 5% increase in performance. 0 to 60 was 3.2 seconds. It's now 3 seconds, which is interesting because the website still shows 3.2 seconds. But hey, we also got more range at that same time, and that's all through improvements in how the battery management system works. It has the ability to recognise and stop at traffic lights, recognise speed limit signs, and adjust the speed accordingly. There's so many incremental improvements that it's basically a collective that's fundamentally changed the car for the better. Being able to view Sentry mode and dash cam footage in the car on the big screen, for example, is a major improvement, because previously it was a right faff. You needed to take the disc out and put it in your computer and read it that way, or you had a smartphone adapter to view the footage. It was clunky. And I like the fact that the Sentry mode and dash cam is built into the car as standard. It makes use of the front, side and rear cameras, and if Sentry mode is activated, you receive a trigger notification on your phone. So it's great peace of mind if you have to leave the car somewhere. I love the handling and the performance of the car. It's nimble, its steering is light and responsive, it sticks to the road, and it's very, very sure-footed, being all-wheel drive. So long trips are basically a doddle in the Model 3. The supercharging network is a real boon, but the navigation and routing options on the mapping software are just so easy to use. if I put an appointment in with an address in my phone in the calendar, it automatically appears in the car's calendar. And on that day, it assumes that that's where we're going to. Click the appointment in the car's calendar and it will calculate the route for you automatically. I also find the frunk really useful. I store the charging cables in there. There's also a puncture repair kit. I've got an air compressor for pumping up the tyres. Got cleaning equipment for when you're out and about, and like, I don't know, some unwanted splatter from a large, now much lighter bird goes over. You need to get that off quickly before it starts attacking the clear coat. Other things I'm pleased about is the PPF film, the paint protection film that I had fitted. Now, whilst I can't be 100% sure, I feel that it has saved the paintwork and glass on a number of occasions. For example, there's a small tear on the film on the front headlight from a flying stone. With no film fitted, that could have easily cracked or chipped the headlight for sure. There's basically no stone chips on the front of the car, and it also makes cleaning so much easier. And the car is as clean as it was on day one when I picked it up on that front end, which is very unusual. If I look at the Kona, for example, it suffered from a few stone chips on the bonnet and the front bumper. Now, granted, it's done 3,500 more miles than the Tesla. However, it's a testament to the PPF film on the Tesla that there's no visible damage at all over those 6,000 miles. So what about the dislikes? Well, I did have trouble on this one. There's no one thing that I find really irksome or frustrating with the car, or Tesla's support for that matter. Some of the small things I've found, which were sort of mildly frustrating, have been resolved with software updates. So the most annoying one that I can think of was when you engage cruise control. So imagine that you're driving down, doing 50 mile an hour down a 60 mile an hour road, and you engage cruise control. In any other car, you would be doing the same 50 mile an hour when in cruise. Not the Tesla, it would start to accelerate up to 60 mile an hour once you'd engaged it, rather than cruising at the speed you were currently doing, which is almost odd. I've never had a car do that before when engaging cruise control. So what it meant was each time you engaged cruise control, you had to manually override the speed using the scroll wheel on the steering wheel, which got a bit tedious after a while and caused you to sort of speed up and slow down, and giving you a bit of a jerky ride, or certainly the passengers a jerky ride. So the latest software update has given you the ability to easily override this behaviour by tapping on the actual speed on the visualization screen, which is certainly less annoying than previously. However, I still think, why don't they just make it so when you engage cruise, it cruises to the speed you're actually doing rather than the mandated speed for that road? That's probably my major annoyance, if there is one. The full self-driving package was £5,000 when we purchased it, and it's currently £6,800. As a package, most of the individual components have improved over the 12 months. Navigate on autopilot has come on leaps and bounds over the 12 months. And whilst it's not feature complete, and there are areas that still need improving, coupled with the fact that we need to remove the EU red tape around autonomous cars, which certainly restricts the car's abilities currently, it is improving tremendously. For example, on the 11th of September 2020, I had an over-the-air update of software version 2020.36.11, which gives traffic light and stop sign recognition and stopping. And the previous update had speed limit sign recognition as well. And level 2 autonomy is not that far away. Elon Musk predicts that the USA will have it by the end of this year, end of 2020, and goes on to say that it will be a quantum leap improvement over what is currently in the cars. And that's all with no hardware changes, so long as you have hardware 3. It's all done through coding improvements. They've basically done a full software rewrite to harness AI, and I'm really looking forward to it when it arrives over here to try it out. It'll be interesting to see how much improved it is. I'm sure it'll be fundamentally improved, as Elon says. So, FSD, full self-driving, is it faultless? No, it's not faultless. Will it improve with time? Certainly, yes it will. And I've found that the more miles you put under the wheels using autopilot or navigate on autopilot, the more you understand what it's currently capable of and when it's likely to throw you a bit of a curveball. And we mustn't forget that it is still in development. It's still prone to the odd behaviour. I found it no different from any other car system from any of the other car manufacturers. Like the Kona's got adaptive cruise, I can't remember what they call it, probably is adaptive cruise, and that often slams on the brakes for no reason at all. It has a disdain and dislike for parked cars while adaptive cruise is on. So they all have their foibles. Well, I guess where the Tesla wins down is on motorway journeys. You drop it into navigate on autopilot, the car changes and merges onto exits, leaves exits, on and off ramps automatically. It suggests lane changes to follow your chosen route, and it suggests when to overtake slower moving traffic. In the US, Canada and Australia, you don't even need to confirm these lane changes. They can be performed automatically if you wish. So here in the UK and Europe, we currently have to confirm those lane changes by tapping on the downward stalk. So, would I buy? Again, knowing what I know now. Well, you probably already know the answer to that, and yet it's a resounding yes. If I have the choice between driving the Tesla and the Kona, I will always take the Tesla. It's more fun, basically. It's more engaging. The Kona is a solid, dependable EV, but the Tesla is more, is that and more. It's a computer on wheels. It has a user-focused approach. It's intuitive. It's easy to work with. And it makes any journey more enjoyable. The brilliant sound system, the tech, all of those things really help you to get from A to B. So yeah, absolutely. I often tell people it's the best car we've ever owned, and I firmly believe that is the case. I would buy it again in a heartbeat. It would be the same model, the same colour and the same specs. I'll probably go as far as to say that if the Model 3 was available in the UK when we purchased the Kona, because we had the Kona first, we would now have 2 Model 3s on the driveway. The only saving grace for the Kona is it has a hatchback. When did those Model Ys going to reach the UK, I wonder? We'll see. Anyway, I hope you found that useful. If you're considering getting a Model 3, my 12 months of ownership, what it means to me and what I found. Thanks as ever for watching. Remember to like and comment because that all helps the video, and I will see you on the next video. All right, take care. Cheers. Bye.